Okay, good evening. Tonight's session, exercises that I recommend for getting strong, for getting jacked, for getting pretty big and strong and powerful and explosive. Now, what I'm doing with this session is I'm kind of thinking outside the box to give you guys a few ideas. Now, ordinarily when we think of getting big and strong, we think of squat, bench, dead, standing press, pull-ups, rows, things like that. But I'm just kind of giving you guys a few alternatives and a few other things to think about. So what I'm starting out with at the moment is some muscle cleans. I'm not very good at power cleans, I'm not very good at Olympic cleans, so I'm doing muscle cleans, which basically involve pulling the bar as far as possible. So you literally clean the weight to rack, but you just don't really dip underneath the bar. You pull it for a very full range of motion. And as I said, I would love to be able to say this was deliberate. It kind of is, but I'm not very good at what you'd say Olympic cleans and power cleans, so I'm doing a muscle clean instead. So I've worked up to 120 kilos now, and I'm just sticking with 120 kilos. I'm going to get 3 sets of 5 with 120 kilos. I don't recommend going very high reps on these because it is a movement that involves quite a lot of coordination, and if your form breaks down a little bit, it's pretty easy to kind of tweak something, hurt something. So as I said, first exercise, muscle cleans, really good for traps, upper back, lower back. You've got a bit of side delt because you use a relatively wide grip. You've got a bit of rear delt in there, you've got a bit of hamstrings in there. So, and it's just a powerful movement. It's just a big, strong, powerful movement, just picking something pretty heavy up from the ground and kind of getting it up here. But without using that kind of conventional Olympic technique. And as I said, I'm just jealous of Olympic lifters because I'm rubbish at it. Okay, out of breath. Right, that's 3 work sets of 5. I'm using the axle. As always, you guys know I love the axle. However, I'm using my figure of 8 lifting straps. The reason for that is to double overhand 120 for multiple sets for a muscle clean is pretty challenging. So I wasn't really concentrating on that. If I was using a barbell, I probably would just do double overhand. but for the purposes of this. And you can't do a, what's the grip called, where you use your thumb? It's escaped me now. It's been a long day at work. Anyway, can't use that type of grip. The one where you use your thumb, hook grip, there you go. Can't really use a hook grip on an axle, so I don't tend to even try when I'm doing double overhand work. The most I normally do double overhand, maybe for like a barbell row, I can do maybe on a good day 160 double overhand, maybe 180. But I'm not even attempting to try that because it's a very explosive movement and the weight will just fly out of your hand. So anyway, on to my next exercise. So I am now going to move on to some wide grip high pulls. You guys have seen me do these before, here and there. I tend to use them as a back support exercise, but they are just a really good exercise for explosive power, just making you big and strong and jacked and meaty looking. Adds lots of meat to your upper back, your side delts, your traps, gets a little bit of quad involvement involved. It just involves a little bit of everything. These really do tap into you because you have to be quite explosive. So you're pulling with a lot of intention. You're trying to move the bar pretty fast. And you feel everything light up. So I do find these kind of take your breath away pretty quickly. And that's why I recommend doing them relatively low reps. Just simply because your form's going to break down. And again, these are relatively technical moves that can potentially hurt you if you're not careful. So I tend to keep them in the 5 rep range anyway. Okay, on to some one-arm snatches. Now, I've had a little bit of a technical malfunction. A lot of the time when I do one-arm snatches, I do them outside, or I do them at my local gym, just because they've got a better selection of dumbbells than I have. My difficulty here is, if you can see, my hand touches the ceiling. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to use my big dumbbells. I use the 32.5 kilo dumbbell. I'm just going to have to get 3 sets of 5 with the 32.5. I was planning to go up to the 40s and the 50s. but I do not want to be breaking my ceiling. But again, a nice explosive movement that just puts a lot of meat all over your body. Involves a lot of posterior chain, you know, your hams, your glutes, lower back, of course your shoulders, traps, everything. All the stuff that just makes you look big and meaty, but also is actually functional, strong, powerful muscle. These are, you know, what I call go muscles rather than show muscles. This isn't your kind of beach body bicep workout. This is just if you want to be pretty explosive and pretty powerful. And I've found over the years, I throw this kind of workout in here and there, and I've found it very, very effective. So I'm having to take a very wide stance with my feet, and in that way it takes away some of the clearance. Otherwise I would, if I stood up straight, I would literally hit my ceiling. So I'm having to stand pretty wide. As I said, I'm just going to stick with a 32. Whew. Okay, moving on a little bit now. Moving on and doing a little bit of push work. So, an exercise that you don't actually see all that often nowadays, and that's the floor press. Really good for, obviously you've got a bit of chest work in there, but triceps, front delts. You actually feel your triceps and your front delts a lot more, I find, in this. Particularly as you've got your back flat on the ground, you can't really arch up very much. Or I don't tend to do it, should I say, with my back arched, particularly. So, bit of chest, bit of triceps, bit of front delt. But again, just the forgotten exercise that really helps with just explosive power. Now, what I'm going to do, I started out with 100 kilos on there, did a set of 5. I think you guys know I love my accommodating resistance. I think rather than throwing on lots and lots of plates on this, now this is an exercise that you can really overload and go pretty heavy on. I think I'm going to just put some chains on and get a bit of working with some chains. Okay, I got all my chains on there now. The difficulty is you're not getting a massive amount of clearance off the ground, but it's still pretty awkward. And you know, I like my awkward exercises because I genuinely believe they are just so beneficial because they train so many muscles that we can't even name and we don't even realize we own. So throwing the chains on there has really kind of added to an element of instability to it. So I'm probably getting a little bit of rotary cuff work or whatever on top of everything else. The fact that I am on the floor and doing it with my back flat as well eliminates all that leg drive and just hits those triceps and front delts a little bit more, as well as getting a bit of chest in there as well. Now, this is a great support exercise for the bench press, and it's something I spent many years doing. To be fair, I haven't been doing it as much recently, but the whole purpose of this workout today is just to give you guys a few ideas. You guys know I am the biggest proponent in the world of squat, bench, dead, military press, pull-ups, all those basic things, but we all know how to do those. And I understand it's the new year and some of you guys might be just getting back into the gym, or you might be a little bit burnt out from the gym, and it happens to us all. And I have to do things like this to entertain myself. I'm still like a kid in a candy shop. I still come home from work looking forward to my workouts every day. And the reason I look forward to my workouts every single day is because I mix things up. I'm still on the whole full body thing at the moment. I'm probably going to do it for about another fortnight, another week or two. But I'm still doing it and I'm still really enjoying it, but I'm mixing things up. And even though I haven't done any direct leg work tonight, there's so much indirect work going on. I haven't done any direct core work, but there's lots of indirect core work going on. I'm not doing biceps, I'm not doing triceps, but there's lots of indirect stuff going on. And as I said, so just things like this just make you strong, they make you powerful, they make you explosive, I assure you. And as I said, variety is the spice of life. First and foremost, enjoy what you're doing, enjoy your training. And workouts like this. It might be sad, but I look forward to workouts like this. Good alternatives for this if you don't fancy doing a floor press or the floor in your gym's a bit too dirty to lie on. You can always do something like a pin press where you go inside a power rack and you press, touch the pins and lock out. In addition, you have got things like board presses as well. If you've got access to boards or pieces of foam or something where you basically bring the bar down to your chest, touch the board. Now, board presses are not something I've ever spent a massive amount of time on. I do own some, but I don't really use them, and particularly because I tend to do a lot of my training by myself. In practical terms, it's just pretty difficult. But anyway, I'm gonna go and get my last set ready and done. Okay, I'm going to finish off now with loo raises. You may not even know what I'm talking about. They're basically a side raise that goes all the way over your head, but you use Olympic plates. So I'm going to get a pair of 10 kilo bumper plates and I'm going to do a side raise with them, but they go all the way over your head. They are really good for shoulder mobility, but they hit the whole of your shoulder girdle. They're a real, I also have known them as compound raises, because they are a side raise, but it hits pretty much every part of your shoulder possible. They were made famous by a Olympic lifter. Oh gosh, what was his name? Lou. You'll have to excuse me. But basically, he threw them in as part of his kind of mobility routine. And they're just a great exercise. So I'm going to finish off with 3 sets of those. So I'm just going to do 10 repetitions. As I said, I'm going to grab a pair of 10 kilo bumper plates and just do 10 repetitions. So 3 sets of 10, and then I'll be finished. I'm going to stand my feet apart. That's the end of the workout. I really enjoyed that, really enjoyed it. As I said to you guys, and I've been saying all the way through, these are just a few alternatives. If you are looking to put some meat on your bones and get big and strong in 2026, and you're just looking for a few different exercises to choose for long forgotten exercises, those are a few that I like to throw in. You guys know I've been doing this forever now, 31 years, and it's just really important to enjoy your workouts. And there are very few exercises that are worth doing that I haven't tried over the years. And these are definitely ones that I have thrown in pretty regularly as alternatives or support exercises for the kind of squat, the bench, the deadlift, and what have you. Okay, so what was it? We started out with some muscle cleans. So a nice full range of motion clean, all the way from the ground, all the way up. We then moved on to some wide grip high pulls. Again, just getting that kind of yoke, getting the lower back, getting the posterior chain going, getting a little bit of quad work going, just to get the drive from the ground. And it just taps into all those sort of explosive fast twitch fibers. Like both of those are very, very explosive movements. They are taken from Olympic lifting. And you can't go wrong with Olympic lifting, because I mean, if you look at some of the build on some of the Olympic lifters, they are jacked. And, you know, they rely on your basics, your squats, your front squats, your power cleans, your high pulls, your snatches. And who on earth wouldn't want legs or a back or shoulders like some of those Olympic lifters, because they look phenomenal, some of them. I then moved on to some one-arm dumbbell snatches. Again, I was a little bit limited with the weight in here. Ideally, I would have gone a little bit heavier, but outside at the moment is pitch black and very muddy because the snow over here has just thawed out, but my garden is like a mud pit, so I didn't fancy going outside to do those. But ordinarily, I would have used a little bit more weight, but even so, still got some good work in just with the 32 kilo dumbbells. And then moved on to some floor press, using a bit of accommodating resistance, because you guys know I love my chains. So again, good isolated chest strength, shoulder strength, tricep strength, and throwing those chains on kind of just adds a little bit to working the lockouts and what have you. So I'm not saying you do those instead of bench presses, but I'm just saying they are alternatives. If you feel that your workouts are getting a bit dry and you're a little bit bored and you're not really looking forward to your workouts, these are just a few things that you can throw in. And then I threw in some loo side raises at the end, some loo raises, should I say, at the end. Great for mobility, great for the whole of the shoulder girdle as well. Right, on that note, I am going. Amazingly, I haven't got a client tonight. I've had a cancellation, so I was able to just kind of chill and come home from work, chill, and then just enjoy a nice workout for the last, how long have I been in here? Including filming, probably about an hour and 15 minutes. Something like that, because I do work reasonably quickly, even though none of the weights were like record-breaking weights, but they were enough to feel. Right, so don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit notifications and all that good stuff. Please hit notifications. I say this every video. YouTube has pushed my shorts a little bit, but my long format videos, generally speaking, the views are quite down. And I do put a lot of effort in editing them together. So sometimes it can be a little disheartening when you're only getting, 50 views, 60 views or what have you. So if you like what you see, if you're new to the channel, it really would help if you could kind of just click like or do a quick emoji. I always do my best to respond to anyone who takes the time out of their day to write a comment. As I said, it's genuinely really appreciated, because you don't have to do it. So I always do my best to try and get back to everyone. And I'm just trying to build a nice little community over here. We get the odd troll here and there, but generally speaking, the majority of people on this page, 99.9 of you, are a cool bunch. And, we just share enthusiasm about lifting. That's what it's all about. All right. Anyway, you guys take care. Be strong. Have a good week. All that good stuff. Speak to you soon.